Okay. Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Sumit Madik, and I'm a biology faculty. And today, the askIITians brings in front of you the webinar that is a reproduction. So, in biology, the most things in the reproductions are there, right? After the genetics, we count on the reproduction chapter. So, I'm going to cover all the concept related to reproduction. So, here we're going to start. So, let's start with a great enthusiasm. Here we go. Whenever we talk about the reproduction, okay, the reproduction is a process in which the parent give the young ones, right? Exactly correct. So what is exactly is going to happen over here? Let's understand this in detail. So I'm going to talk about each and everything. Will highlight the things. Okay. So reproduction. First of all, when you talk about a reproduction, what is the first point comes? There will be the sexual or asexual reproduction will be there, right? So we are going to deal with that everything. So reproduction is a fundamental biological process by which living organism produce a new individual. So the parent is giving the either identical or the variant individual. So that is a sexual and asexual will be produced. So it is essential for the survival and the continuity of the species. That is very, very important. Reproduction is very essential for that. Without reproduction, a species would eventually become the extinct. So this is a justified reason also they can ask you why reproduction is essential. So you have to write survival and continuity of species will be involved. Now reproduction also plays a crucial role in evolution as it allows the genetic traits. As it allows what? As it allows the genetic traits to pass on. So that is also important thing over here regarding the how genetic traits are passed on the one generation to another generation. So that is also very, very, very important thing. In between, if you have any doubt, please ask me. I'm here to clear. So let's try to compile all the reproduction in this one shot. And these notes are very useful. So definitely it will be, if you go through this, it will be helpful to you. So types of reproduction, when we are talking about what is actually come across. So we know that there is a asexual reproduction. Yes. Asexual reproduction is a mode of reproduction that occur without the involvement of gametes, sperm or egg is not there. So in asexual, can we say that there is a variation? So answer will be no. Why there is no variation? Because a single parent is involved. That we already know, we are aware about these things, right? So, so they are genetically identical and they are called as a clones. Then, what is the thing? The common in unicellular organisms like bacteria, protozoans, and the lower multicellular organisms, they come across with the asexual reproduction. Okay, now when you talk about the modes of asexual reproduction, the modes of reproduction is what? First is binary. The moment we know binary, we know that amoeba is there, right? So when this organism is breaking down, or we can say the separate out into the two new cells, they are called a binary fission. So one organism is giving the two amoeba. The parent divides into two equal half. Occurs in amoeba, paramecium, and bacteria. Then we have a budding. In case of budding, a small outgrowth bud appears on the parent's body, which eventually detach. For example, if I take the example of yeast, so this is the yeast cell. Okay, so what is going to happen? This will be the yeast cell, for example. Okay, and there will be the bud, and this bud, when detaches, a new bud will be formed that give rise to the different individual, right? Yes, hydra and yeast are the example. Then fragmentation, this very easy. So we can now take a speed of this. The parent body breaks down into the more fragment. Example of is what? Spirogyra is the example of the fragmentation. If it undergo the many fragmentation, a new fragment act like a new individual. That is Spirogyra and planaria also, flat form. These are the examples. Okay, so we have come across with fragmentation and binary fission. Okay, budding in hydra also we talk about that. There is a one process you should aware about that. We are going to talk about that. That is a sporulation, spore formation. The parent produce specialized cell called the spores, which are enclosed in the protective structure called sporangia. Let's take example of this. What is this? A brain mold, right thing? Yes. So if you see that there are tiny, tiny spores are there, that's called that they are called as the spores. and they are enclosed within the sporangium. They are enclosed within what? Sporangium. So sporangium is covering, inside that many spores are found. And these spores are responsible. What? The spores are dispersed by the wind, water, and other means to develop into the new individual whenever they get a favorable condition like moisture and food. Example, fungi, rhizopus, mucor, algae. Chlamydomonas is the example. See, even it is a algae, it follow these things. Even it is a algae, it is come across the sporulation, and the ferns are the example of that. Okay, the vegetative propagation. What is vegetative? If the plant part is used for the, we can't say reproduction over here, but we can say asexual reproduction. Why? Because the plant part is used. Like in case of bryophyllum, the leaf is used, right? So roots, stems, and leaves, if it is used, that is undergo the vegetative propagation. There is no involvement of the parents, right? So types of vegetative propagations are what? First is the natural method, and next one is the artificial method. So when you talk about the natural method, that we know that runners are there. So strawberry and grass are come across the runners. Rhizomes are the ginger and banana. Then tubers, potato. Bulbs, onion and garlic. Suckers, chrysanthemum is the example of the natural method. Then artificial method, cutting, grafting and layering. Rose and sugar canes are the example, come under the cutting, right? See, we know that rose, if you cut the stem of the rose and अगर आप प्लांट उसको सॉइल में करोगे तो क्या होगा, उस फ्रॉम पर्टिकुलर स्टेम से न्यू प्लांट विल बी developing, right? Grafting, mango and apple is also there. In grafting, what we know, stalk and scion, we should understand that scion is the down part, right? Yes or no, of that plant, and stalk, whatever the desired characteristics you want to bring into the previous plant, that is called stalk and soil interaction, that is grafting. Layering, jasmine and strawberry are undergo the layering things. Now let's talk about the micropropagation. See, I have written this in a different way. Tissue culture, you should aware about that. What is the tissue culture? If I'm taking a single cell, which is a plant single cell, and from that one single cell, I'm making a full plant, then it's called a tissue culture, or it's also called as a micro propagation. It's also called as what? Micro propagation. Example is orchid and banana. What are the advantages of asexual reproduction? Let's understand this. It is a faster and efficient. Asexual is what? Faster and efficient because there is no involvement of male and female parents, so it takes little time, and then they form the zygote and all, that all. No, they are very fast and efficient. No need for the mate, right? Genetic stability will be there. Why genetic stability? Because only one parent is responsible for the making different things. Different things means same species, right? So there is no offsprings are identical to the parent. That's why the reason is that. Let's talk about the advantage. Already we talk about the advantage. Now, what is the disadvantage? Lack of genetic variation. As the only one parent is involved, there is no variation. Limited adaptability. Why? Because no genetic recombination. Only one parent is giving all the information. So that is the reason behind it. Okay. 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 Sanika and Aniket, if you have any doubt, you can ask me regarding the same thing. Okay. Now, sexual reproduction. When you talk about the sexual reproduction, now tell me one thing. Already we talk about the asexual very quickly. See, this is a one-shot video, so we have to go very quick as well. So, asexual reproduction is a biological process. Two parents are involved. So, whenever you find two parents are involved, definitely there is a genetic variation. Exactly correct. There is a genetic variation will be there. This process involves the fusion of specialized reproductive cells called the gametes. Now, these offsprings are inherent in genetic material from the both the parents. So there is a recombination very much occur, and they are very adaptable, right? So they are not exact copy, but yes, they have carried the information from their parents. Sexual reproduction is a common in most the plants and animal, including the humans, right? So this is the thing. And why it is important? Genetic diversity is very much important over here. Now, key feature of sexual reproduction, formation of the gamete, gametogenesis. Gametogenesis is what? Gametes are haploid. Why, sir, gametes are haploid? This question they can ask you for justify. Okay, justify why gametes are haploid. Your answer should be to maintain genetic stability. Why? Because see, in case of human, we know that male and the female as a human, They have total 46 chromosomes, but they undergo the reproductive undergo the meiosis. Very good, meiosis, and they will form the 23 chromosomes. So there will be formation of the 23 like haploid. This is stage is called haploid, right? To maintain the genetic variation or to maintain the what genes number should be there. So that is the answer for it. Why gamete should be haploid. Okay. Okay. Now, tell me one thing. I'm going to talk about the one more point over here. Please pay attention, everyone, regarding the same. In case of male, if you talk about a haploid cell, there is a sperm. From the one sperm, I mean, like from one cell which is undergoing the meiosis, we're getting the four sperm. But in the same case, in case of female, we are getting only one ova or egg. Okay, so what happened with this ova? They form the polar bodies, and those polar bodies are responsible for removing the extra chromosomes. Extra chromosomes. So ultimately, what we are doing, we are maintaining the chromosome numbers. We are maintaining the chromosome numbers by this process. Okay, so sperm can be formed four, that there is no issue. But in case of polar bodies are formed in case of oogenesis. Very good. Very good. So that's the same thing. Male gametes produced in the testes, animals, and the anther flowering the plant. See, we are talking about the humans and plants together. Female gametes, egg and ovum, produced in ovaries of the animal and ovules of the flowering plant. Okay, let's go further. Understand the fertilization. See, once gamete form, in case of plant, the spore or what we can say anther follow on the stigma, there is a sticky liquid, then it get a nutrition from the pollen tube, it fertilize the thing, eggs will be fertilized. Okay, that is the syngamy. In case of humans, male and female, sperm and the ova get fused, that is also called fertilization. So fertilization is the process where the male gamete fuses with the female gamete and form the diploid zygote. We are all aware about that. Types of fertilization: external occurs outside the body, example frogs and fish. Internal occurs inside the female body, and the female is responsible for carry out all the responsibility of that baby until it is getting properly grow up. So in mammals and the birds and the reptiles. Then development of the zygote. See, I come across this 4 points. So I am just putting these 4 points in front of you. The zygote undergo the mitotic division because zygote is a unicellular. It undergo the multiple cleavage. Cleavage means what? It undergo multiple cleavage from here and there, and it form the mass of the cell, and this mass of the cell is responsible for formation of the all organ system, right? So ultimately we are forming, in case of humans, the babies are forming from one cell, so that undergo mitotic division, that is called cleavage into the embryo. So zygote converted into embryo after the mitotic divisions. Then embryo further develops into new organisms through the process like morphogenesis and the differentiation. So that cells are formed, organs are formed. In animals, the embryo grows within the mother's womb, viviparous, or inside an egg, that is called oviparous. In plants, zygote developed into directly what? Seed, which later germinate into the new plant. So that is the development of the zygote we understood. Now let's talk about the advantage of sexual reproduction. Obviously, you get a genetic variation. There is a evolutionary advantage over there. Why evolution advantage? Because male and female gametes are combined. So from the two parents, information is getting elimination of harmful mutations. So genetic recombination reduces this defect. But you find genetic recombination defects in asexual. Asexual में ज़्यादा पाया जाएगा because only one parent is involved. So whatever the parent carries deformities, the same will be passed on to the offspring, right? So sexual reproduction has the advantage. Disadvantage, time consuming. Yes, it's required time for the mating and a longer gestation period. Baby has to be grow, right? Then energy intensive, requires specialized structure and complex processes over there. Not always successful. Fertilization may occur or not occur, right? If it is occurring, then good. If it's not occurring, definitely it is go for the next chance. Okay, so these are the disadvantages that we have understood. Now let's talk about the sexual reproduction in flowering plant. So we know that flower is a reproductive structure or flower is reproductive wall. Okay. So sexual reproduction is housing both male and female reproductive organ along with the non-reproductive accessory parts. So कौन से parts are? Let's see. Calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Calyx is also called sepals. Corolla is also called petals. Androecium, male reproductive part. You should know what is male reproductive part. anther and filament. In the side the anther, there are what? Yes, pollen grains are there. That is a part of androecium. In gynoecium, we know that. What we are aware about that? A style, yes, style will be there, stigma will be there, and ovary there, and ovules are there. This come under the gynoecium. Very good. Yes, there is a diagram as well. See. So I was talking about the oval, ovary, style, and sigma. They will be follow the gynoecium part, and the anther and the filament will be follow the androecium part. Okay, that's the parts of the flowers. Very good. Now androecium. The androecium is the third whorl of the plant and consists of the stamens. Yes, exactly. We are aware about that. So anther and filament. Anther is what? Bilobe structure. Anther is what? Bilobe structure. It's like bilobe structure. Okay, it's like bilobe structure, and there is a filament. Okay. So the slender stalk is called filament. Function to produce the pollen grains. Yes or no? Pollen grains are very, very important. Yes, contains the male gamete that is called sperms. Then gynoecium, female reproductive parts. As it is a one shot, we are going so fast. I understand that, but your concepts are getting clear, right? Yes. So it's a quick revision. Act like a quick revision for all, my dear students. So the gynoecium is the innermost wall. So androecium was the third one. Gynoecium was the innermost. So it's also called pistils. It contains stigma, style, and ovary. Now, stigma. What is the function of stigma? Stigma will be the pollen grain will be adhere on the stigma. It it is a sticky, so nourishment will be absorbed by the pollen grains, and from the style the pollen tube will be formed, and it reaches for fertilization and reaches to whom? Eggs, right? Yes. So, and what is the ovary? Don't get confused between ovule and ovary. So ovary is the swollen basal part that contains the ovules. So ovules are the ultimately one who's actually converted into the seed. Ovary is converted into the fruit, right? So ovule becomes seeds. Okay, so these are the thing about the gynoecium that we understood, right? Now accessory floral parts. Calyx sepals are there. They are outermost green leaf-like structure that protect the flower bud before the blooming. Obviously, protection will be there. Corolla, petals are there, brightly colored or sometimes white in color. So whenever they're brightly colored, they attract the pollinators like bees and butterfly. But if they are white in color, they have not petal have, but the flower have a particular smell, okay, fragrance to attract the pollinators. Now, what happened after the pre-fertilization? I mean, what happened between pre-fertilization, during fertilization, and after the fertilization? So we have this event. So let's talk about that. The pre-fertilization. Okay. Before the fertilization can occur, certain preparatory process takes place. What they are? Gametogenesis. So in case of female, it's oogenesis. In case of male, it's spermatogenesis. Now we are talking about the plant. So gametogenesis, formation of male and female gametes together. So in case, see what is happening over here. What is this? This is a microsporangenesis, a male gamete formation. It is what? A male gamete formation. Microsporangenesis. It's a male gamete formation. So what is happening here? Can you see that endothecius is there? Then the middle layer, then the microspore mother cell. This is the cell actually convert into what? Yes, pollen grains, right? So these are the pollen grains. And this once after proper maturation, they undergo the dehiscence. They will break open and the anther get distributed. Okay, exactly correct. So occurs in the anther of the stamen. Process is what? Pollen mother cell. PMC 2N. 2N means what? This is a diploid cell. Undergoes the meiosis to produce the four haploid microspore. This microspore develop into the pollen grains which contain the male gamete, that is a sperm. Final structure, each pollen grain has two male gamete encloses within the encloses within in the megasporangenesis, that is a female gamete formation. So what is this exactly we are talking about? See, we are talking about the megasporangenesis. Before that, I want to talk about this one thing that I want to point it out. That is a megaspore mother cell. What is megaspore mother cell? Is also 2N. It is also what? Diploid. Undergoes the meiosis. So undergo what? Meiosis, producing the four megaspore. Please pay attention. You should understand they undergo the meiosis. Megaspore mother cell undergo the meiosis. But only one functional megaspore. That means if these are the four, apart from that, amongst only the one cell, it will become the viable. Okay. The others are degenerated. The- then the functional megaspore undergo the mitotic division to the one cell which undergo the mitotic division. Okay. 8 nucleated embryo sac, female gametophyte is going to form. So 8 nuclei. You know what is the distribution of the 8 nuclei? Yes. Can anybody tell me? That will be the here 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and this is a fusion one. Okay, this is the 8 nuclei. Very good. Now, pollination, transfer of the pollen grains. So, pollination is the process of transferring the pollen grains from the anther to the stigma. Cell pollination, cross, and gytonogamy. Cell pollination is also called autogamy. Pollen is transferred within the same flower. If the same flower is there, same flowers, anther is get mature, and then the pollen grains are fall on the stigma. That is called autogamy. Example, pea and tomatoes are found in the cell pollination, undergoes the cell pollination. Cross pollination, xenogamy. The pollen is transferred between the flowers of different plants. Different plants. That is sunflower and the apple. And gytonogamy, pollens are transferred between the different flowers of the same plant. Please pay attention. Gytonogamy is a pollen is transferred between the different flowers of the same plant. Okay, example, maize flowers, one is here, one is here. So they can have a distribution of the pollen grains. Example, maize and cucurbits. Okay. What are the pollinating agents? We have a wind that is called anemophily. Small and light-weighted pollens are the very preferable during the wind. So maize and wheat are responsible. Example of that. Water, if the pollinating agent is water, it's called hydrophily. Pollen is carried by the water because that act like a transfer, right? So Vallisneria and Hydrilla are the example. Insects, entomophily, bright fragrant flowers attract the pollinators. Example, rose and sunflower. Entomophily, why? Because that flower has to attract what? Insect. That's why they're bright. Now, after that, we are going to talk about fertilization, syngamy and double fertilization. Fertilization occurs when the male gamete from the pollen grains fuse with a female gamete in the ovule, obviously in the ovule, right? So, double fertilization and angiosperm. This is very, very important. Unique to flowering plants. Yes, so it is unique process in flowering plants. It is called double fertilization. How come? See, syngamy and double fertilization. Why it's called double fertilization? Yes, because syngamy, when you talk about a syngamy, it's a one male gamete.
Sir, one of the grain fuses
Yes,
with the egg, and one of them fuses with the pea, and the
exactly correct. So who's responsible for that? Pollen tube. Okay, the pollen tube is responsible to carry out the two male gamete. Yes or no? And one of the gamete, as you said, correct, very correct. The egg cell along with the male gamete that is from the zygote. That is the first fertilization, and second fertilization along with second male gamete, which is carried by the pollen tube. Two polar nuclei, which is in the center, right? And endosperm is going to happen. That is a 3N, provide the nutrition to the developing embryo. So that is called as rubber fertilization. Now endosperm is triploid and serve as a food storage tissue in the word said. But you should remember that endosperm is 3N. That is very, very important. Okay. Now, what happened after the fertilization? Post fertilization. After fertilization, several structures and physiological changes. What is that? Ovule becomes seed containing the embryo and the seed coat. Ovary become fruit. Ovule, seed. Ovary, fruit. Don't get confused. Okay. Protects and the helps in the seed dispersal. Seeds got break open. So it will be allowing for the seed dispersal. Other fluoroparts like petals, sepals, and stamens. What is that? Fall off of the most the cases. Okay. Now, we have covered the reproduction found in plant. As I told you, this is a one-shot and quick revision for you guys. So that notes accordingly I made. So now we are going to enter into the human reproduction. So let's start with that. Human reproduction system. Whenever you talk about that, you should know male and the female reproductive system. So the human reproductive system is responsible for the production of the gamete, sperm, and the egg. We are aware about that. Fertilization, embryonic development, same thing is there. But there are some changes that we are going to talk about. Let's talk about the male reproductive system, which comprises of the penis, testes. Now tell me one thing, why testes are outside in the case of male? Because the temperature required for a spermatogenesis is required less than the body. Okay, so they has to be outside the body, that is inside the scrotum. Okay, then the seminical vesicle are then vasa differenza. Then this is we are going to talk about that, so don't worry about it. So male reproductive system consists of the primary organs gonad, that's called gonads. They produce the gamete, and the accessory organs aid the process of reproduction. So ultimately sperm has to be produced, but to maintain the spermatogenesis there are other organs, or what we can say the other accessory organs also helpful. Primary organ is the testis. Inside the testis, if you talk about the testis, the spermatogenesis is the major site over there. So pair of the oval structure located in the scrotum. How much temperature less? 2 to 3 degree lower than the body temperature. Why it is required? Required for spermatogenesis. It produces the sperm, male gamete, through the spermatogenesis. Secrete does testosterone. Testosterone secreted by whom? Sperm. The male sex hormone responsible for secondary sexual characteristics like yes, voice change in the male, bed, right? Uh, Body hairs that are maintained by the testosterone. Now, accessory organs, majority of the people gets confused between the accessory organs. So let's have understand in detail. Duct system, transport of the sperm. Epidermis stores the mature sperm. So epidermis, where you find epidermis? It's there in diagram. Yes. Okay, so let's talk about this epidermis. This is what, see, inside the testis, the sperms are formed, and this epidermis act like a reservoir for the store and the mature sperm. Then vas difference transport the sperm from the epidermis to the urethra. Now, in the male, the penis is the common passage for the urination and for the sperm removal, yes or no? So you know what, sperms are not withstand in an acidic environment, so urine is there acidic. Why? So there is some organs which helps as a flushing effect
Sir,
before.
bulbourethral gland
Yes, bulbourethral gland is there which secrete a mucus to
and prostate
lubricate the
gland.
urethra. Yes, let's see, bulbourethral gland is required for mucus for a lubrication, but what we want the acidic content of that, or remnants of the urine should be washed off, right? So there are some things. So we are going to talk about that. So duct system, let's talk, the urethra carries the sperm out of the body. Then glands, seminal fluid production. Now see, sperm is not along with only the sperm is not there. There are some liquids also there, or some it's a combination also there. Fluid is also there. Some help for the mobility whenever they enter into that. Some helps into what? The nutrition. This thing will fructose will be found, right? So seminal vesicle produces a fructose rich fluid that nourishes the sperm. That is first of all. Prostate gland produces an alkaline fluid. Can you mark down that thing? The prostate gland is one who produces the alkaline fluid to neutralize the vaginal activity over here. Okay, whenever, see, there is a copulation process. What is the copulation? When the male reproductive part, that is mostly the penis, is inside the vagina, that is called copulation. During that copulation, obviously the vaginal, there is acidity found is there. Again, the sperm has to withstand. So who will take care of that? The prostate gland will be take care of that. And the bulbotheral gland secrete the mucus to lubricate the urethra. Then external genitals, okay? So male copulatory organ that delivers the sperm to the female reproductive tract, it comes under the external genitalia. Now let's talk about the female reproductive system. Now, my question is that how many ova we are getting at the one time? Yes, how many? At one time, only one egg is getting
Only one
released.
egg.
Yes or no? Yes. But in case of sperms, how many sperms we are getting? I mean, like in
So
what we
it's
can
2
say,
million, right?
when you talk about the sperms, they are many more. But in case of female reproductive tract or female reproductive system, only one egg is released. Okay. So let's talk about that. So ovary are the one who are connected with the fallopian tube. So fallopian tube is also called as the area of fertilization, where actually the what happening, the sperm is fuses with the ova. Okay, in a fallopian tube. Okay. Now, the female reproductive system includes the organ that produces the egg, ova, facilitate the fertilization, support the fetal development, and the enable the childbirth. So this is the process. Okay. Now primary organs are ovaries. Yes, primary organs are what? Ovary. Paired oval structure located in the pelvic cavity produces the egg through the oogenesis. Now in oogenesis, polar bodies are formed. Can anybody tell me why there is a polar body should be there? Yes, yes, yes. Anybody can talk about why there is a polar bodies? I already mentioned, but I just want to recorrect from you. Anybody? Why there is a polar body? To maintain, obviously, chromosomal number. Okay, chromosomal number. So that is the reason for polar bodies are formed. Because see, how many egg we are getting? We are getting only the one egg at a one time, right? But in case of sperm, many sperms. Okay. Now, secrete hormones like estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen is responsible for development of the female secondary sexual character, and in progesterone, it's maintain the pregnancy, right? So who is the maintaining the pregnancy? Progesterone hormone. Now, accessory organs, fallopian tube. It's also called as a oviduct. It's also called as what? Oviduct. Site of fertilization. I already mentioned, right? Has a fimbriae. What is a fimbriae? If you talk about this, here are a finger-like projections when the ova get mature. See, again, I'm telling you, when the ova is getting collected from the ovaries, it is not fully mature. Why, sir? Because it has to be undergo the second stage of meiosis. Whenever there is the entry of the sperm, then only it undergo the second stage of meiosis and the second polar body is formed over there, right? So whenever they lifting up the fimbriae, lifting up this ovary from the what we can say, the egg from the ovary, it is not a fully mature yet until and unless the sperm enters into the, yes. So that is the function of that. So what is the fimbriae that helps in the capturing the ovulated egg? Then uterus, muscular organ where embryo implants and develop. So after fertilization, the zygote will be formed that will be get implanted into the uterus. So uterus is always ready. Okay, why always ready? Whenever there is a chances of zygote coming, he's always ready. But what happens if egg is not fertilized? Then uterus has to destroy his own lying. That is called menstruation. So menstruation is a process in which there is a removal of the unfertilized egg along with the uterus lining that creates a blood over there, right? Yes. So inner lining is called endometrium, thickens to support the implantation. Then vagina is a part of that. Accessory organs, muscular canal that serve as a birth canal and receive the sperm during the intercourse. Now, gametogenesis, formation of the gametes. Gametogenesis is the process by haploid gametes. Again, why haploid gamete? The answer is same, to maintain the chromosomal number. Spermatogenesis, formation of sperm in males, occurs in the seminiferous tubules of the testis, involve the meiosis and result in a 4 haploid sperm cell. Take approximately 64 to 72 days in the humans for a spermatogenesis, right? So this occur in the, so spermatogenesis is the process formation of sperm. Oogenesis is the process in the female. But again, I'm repeating, in the oogenesis, there is a formation of polar bodies, and polar bodies are responsible for the what? Okay. Now, my question is that if you are aware about that, if this is a fallopian tube, here is the egg, and here is the sperm. So whenever the sperm enters into the egg, then only the meiosis stage is started in the ova and then form the second polar body. See, I'm not talking about in descriptive manner. I'm talking about what is the important point. Okay. Then let's go to the menstrual cycle. And menstrual cycle is what already we have talked about that. Let's revise quickly. Now, what is this? This is the uterus lining, which is getting destroyed, and what is which is getting again formed. So menstrual cycle is 28-day hormonal cycle. They can be vary according to the female individual. So it is mostly okay, approximately 28 days. So menstruation phase is 1 to 5th day. Shading of the uterine lining, that is endometrium, occurs in the if fertilized is not okay. See, if the ova is not get fertilized with the egg, then that is called as an unfertilized egg, and that has to be removed from the body along with the uterine lining. That's why there is a presence of blood and the tissue are expelled through the vagina. That is a first stage, first phase, day 1 to 5. Then follicular phase started from 6 to 14 days. follicles in the ovary mature and estrogen levels arise. Once estrogen levels are rise, what going to happen in that case? The endometrium start regenerate under the influence of estrogen. Then we have a ovulatory phase. In case of ovulatory phase, what happen? Ovulation occurs. The release of the mature egg from the ovary, triggered by the surge of the luteinizing hormone. See, what are the hormones? Estrogen we have. Okay, we have a LH over here. Yes or no? And we have a progesterone. Now, LH surge will be on the 14 days. Okay. Okay. And the estrogen is initial one and progesterone to maintain the pregnancy. You should aware about that. Now we have a luteal phase that is running from 15 to 28 days. The corpus luteum. So where you get corpus luteum? See, if egg is not fertilized, that is called as a corpus luteum. It's act like a temporary gland, temporary what we can say secrete of the progesterone. Okay. If further it corpus luteum become corpus albicans. So the corpus luteum is a yellow color body. Okay. So it fertilized does not occur. The corpus luteum degenerate leading to the next menstrual cycle. Now, see, implantation. If fertilization occur, then where the implantation? From the after the ovulation, the ova will be transferred with the help of fimbriate towards the fallopian tube or oviduct. Can you see that the sperms are entering? Once the sperms are entering, there will be formation of zygote and it undergoes a many cleavage to become the cellular mass like morula, blastula, and there will be the blastocyst and there will be the implantation will be happening over there. Okay. Now, fertilization, that is a fusion of a sperm and egg, occurs in the fallopian tube within the 24 hours of the ovulation. From here, you get a question in the reproductive health. Okay, that contraceptives are have to taken within the not 24 hours, within the 72 hours. So what will be the reason? The reason will be this. So sperm penetrates the egg, leading to the formation of a zygote that is a diploid. Implantation. What is the implantation? Can you see here? There is the implantation, the stage or the cells mass, cellular mass is tried to embedded within the uterus thick walled. Okay. So that is called implantation. The zygote undergoes the multiple division forming the blastocyst. So who get implant? Blastocyst. Blastocyst attaches to the uterine wall and making the beginning of the pregnancy. Now let's talk about the pregnancy and embryonic development very quickly. Placenta formation. See, placenta and umbilical cords. First, wherever there is an implantation, the point of attachment is called formation of the placenta. From the placenta, there will be the filtration of the blood from the mother to the fetus. And now, from the placenta, as it develops, there is a formation of the umbilical cord. The placenta is temporary organ that extends the nutrition, oxygen, and the waste, right? It secretes the human chorionic gonadotropin, that is HCG, which maintain the pregnancy, right? Which hormones? HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin hormones, right? Then gestation period. What is gestation period? Pregnancy duration. Humans have about 9 months, 40 weeks, right? Gestation period is carried out. Now, parturition and lactation. See, I know that I'm wiping come fast, but I know this will be help you for the revision purpose. Now, childbirth, the process of the giving birth triggered by the oxytocin. Oxytocin is important for what? Contraction of the uterus. So the baby can be expelled during the childbirth. This also include a labor contraction. Then milk production and secretion, it is undergo the two hormones, prolactin and oxytocin. See, in bio, every chapter is connected. Try to understand that. So some question will be asked in a such a way that you have to answer from the both the chapters. Okay, so prolactin and oxytocin. Prolactin stimulate the milk production. But when the baby try to suck the nipples, right, that time it helps the ejection of milk from the breast. Okay, so oxytocin is responsible for that. So two oxytocin functions, one in a labor contraction and one in the ejection of milk from the female breast. So we have covered about human reproduction. Now let's talk about the reproductive health in very quick manner. Reproductive health. According to the World Health Organization, reproductive health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Okay, that has to be there. Then why we are studying that? You are aware about these things. Very shortly, you should aware about that. So if the question asks, then you can answer it. Awareness and the education should be there. Promote the knowledge about the reproductive health, right? You understand that. lot of cases or a lot of things are there. So the person should be aware about that. Then prevention and control of sexually transmitted disease. For this purpose, you should aware about the reproductive health. Okay. So educate the people on safe sexual practices to reduce the risks like HIV, gonorrhea, syphilis, chlamydia. Okay. And the HPV infection. Because see, if there is a education from the beginning, it will be helpful for prevention of such dangerous things. Then contraceptive and the family planning, that is also helps the individual to make the informed choices about the birth control methods to prevent the unwanted pregnancies. Then the maternal and child health is also important over there. Ensure the safe pregnancy and parental care should be there. Then eradication of reproductive disorders. This is also important. Early detection of the treatment of the disorder like PCOC, polycystic ovary syndrome. Okay, in this particularly PCOC, what happened? The female
So
hormones got in.
yeah, there's a imbalance in the hormones. They start developing facial hair and they
Yes,
have loss of
yes,
appetite and
yes.
all.
Yes, I'm going to ask one question that the facial hair they can have a little like mustache like thing, right? That is called hirudism. Okay, so that is
Yes, sir.
because
Yes.
of what? That is because of what? Imbalance of the like estrogen and
Yeah,
yes, hormones will
there
be.
will be
It
some more secretion of androgens in the body.
yes, exactly. Very good, very good. Okay, now there will be the infertility and reproductive cancers also happen if you're not looking part into this thing. Okay, now let's talk about the birth control methods. Now, birth control and contraception refers to the method used to prevent the unplanned pregnancy and manage for the family planning. These methods are categorized into what? Birth control, like for male, we have a condoms. There is female, also female condom is there. There is a pills. It come under the chemical contraceptive. Then hormonal rings are there. UID is there. Injections also there. Surgical sterilization, implant. Okay. Then there is a patch and diaphragm. These are the methods actually. So let's talk about that. First is the natural method. This first method is what? Abstinences. What is that? Avoiding the sexual intercourse during the mostly what? See, which is a safe period to have the baby before the menstruation and after the menstruation, and that lady knows about it, right? Because the menstruation cycle will be different from the woman to woman. So absences means what? Avoiding the sexual intercourse between that period. Then safe period rhythm method, what is that? Avoiding the intercourse during the fertile days of the menstrual cycle day 10 to 17. Then withdrawal method is what? Coitus interruptus. What is coitus interruptus? Whenever the male partner is about to ejaculate, that means the sperm has to be entered into the vagina, then only it can transfer, right? But if it avoided, that is called withdrawal method. Then we have a barrier method. In case of barrier method, what we have? Prevent the sperm from the reaching the egg. We have a condoms as a physical for the male and the female. Prevent the pregnancy for protect the STDs. Okay, it's prevent the STDs because the intimate contact is avoided over there. Then diaphragms and cervical caps also act like a physical barrier, dome-shaped device placed inside the vagina before the intercourse. So what they're doing? The barrier methods are not allowing sperm to enter into the enter into the. Can anybody tell me what we are avoiding with the barrier meters? It's not sperm should not be enter into that, right? Yes, where it's not
Yes,
should be enter into the. Yes, very good. Now we have a chemical methods. Oral contraceptive. Now tell me one thing. It's also made of estrogen and progesterone. Sir, you told me that progesterone is also called a pregnancy hormone. But what will the amount? That amount will the changes.
if
It
there's
act like
less
a
progesterone, then the eggs
yes.
will not be produced, so there will be no fertilization.
Perfect, perfect. So we are actually what we are doing, we are giving the false information to the body so not to get prepared, right? Yes, exactly. So that is the oral contraceptive actually act like that. Now we know that oral contraceptive is Saheli. Okay, that is written in NCERT. Okay, so that is a safe you can take for one in within the 1 week. Okay, that is most what we can say safest, and there is a very minimal disadvantage over there. Then we have a spermicides, chemicals that kill the sperm used with a diaphragm. Okay, then we have a intrauterine devices, IUDs, inserted into the uterus to prevent the fertilization and implantation. Copper T. Now, this copper will affect the sperm tail. That is, mobility will be affected. The sperm is not going to enter further that. Okay, it's not going to go after that boundary. So we are killing the copper ions that kills the sperm. Then hormonal IUDs release the hormone to take a to thicken the cervical mucus to prevent the ovulation. तो ovulation ही नहीं होगा तो क्या होगा? It will be not further. So there is an interrupt between the fertilization. Then we have a surgical method, vasectomy for the males, cutting and sealing the vas differentia to block the sperm transport. Tubectomy in the females, blocking or cutting the fallopian tube to prevent the egg. Now tell me one thing, in the human body, we are cutting the tube and like we cutting the vas differentia fallopian tube, we are tying it. So what happened? So in case of fallopian tube, we know that only one time, only one egg is coming. So there is no that much problem because it get disintegrated. But in case of male, continuously sperm production will be there, but time to time as it tied, so the body will be absorb the sperm inside that, so there will be no problem, right? So sperm is not coming out from after the vasectomy. Male can be able for ejaculation, yes, they can ejaculate, there is no issue, but there will be no sperm will be found, and these are the permanent surgical methods. These are the permanent methods. Once the perform,
Sir,
you are
isn't
not
vasectomy reversible?
in vasectomy. It's reversible. See, fallopian tube. If you tie, if you cut and tie, see what is that taking? Blocking or cutting. There is a or word, right? If they're block, just block, it can be reversible. But for the thing, they are permanent methods, so they should be not reversible at all. Okay. But in case of male, they are not reversible at all. Okay. Now, sexually transmitted diseases. When you talk about, we have a bacterial, that is gonorrhea and syphilis, causes the painful urination and genital discharge. Syphilis develops in the stages, and the tertiary stage of syphilis is very dangerous. It can actually affect your heart. Okay, so it's very early signs. If you detect, it will be better. So can lead to the organ damage if untreated. Viral STDs, HIV attacks the human system. Now tell me one thing. If the person is suffering from the HIV, is or she is not dying because of the HIV, what is the problem? The immune system is compromised. Even the malaria or the typhoid happened to that person suffering from the HIV, that create a very, what we can say, the dangerous effect, because immune system is compromised in a viral STDs like HIV. Okay. Then we have a genital herpes, causes the painful blisters and sores in the genital area. Then prevention and control. How can you prevent? Obviously, practice. Safe sex will be there. Use the condoms or use the methods which I've discussed. Then vaccination. Early diagnosis and treatment should be very effective. Antibiotics for the bacterial. Okay, that is the thing. Now let's talk about the last part, that is the infertility assisted reproductive technique, that is called ARTS. You can expect one or two questions from this topic. Definitely they can ask you. Infertility is the inability to conceive after 1 year. Try to understand, after 1 year, if the couple is trying for till the 1 year and it's failed to have the baby after after the 1 year, then it's considered as the infertility. Okay, of unprotected intercourse. Obviously, there should be a sperm has to be enter the female body, right? Now, causes of infertility: hormonal imbalance, low sperm count in case of male, irregular ovulation will be there, genetic disorders such as chromosome abnormalities, right? Blockage and reproductive tract, blocked fallopian tubes, low sperm motility, it will be a problematic. Age and lifestyle factors, this is also the major problem, right? So, is it visible? Okay, now in vitro fertilization, what is the method for assisting reproductive system? In test tube baby, what is test tube baby? The egg and the sperm fertilized outside the body, then implanted into uterus. See, the fusion of a male gamete and female gamete is outside, and then it is inserted in the mother womb. Then intrauterine insemination. Sperm is directly introduced into the uterus to increase the fertilization chance. Why sperm is directly? Because see, have you aware about this thing? I mentioned low sperm motility. The sperm is there. Sperm quantity or quality will be there, but the problem is sperm is not moving. The tail part, maybe some problem is there. So that time sperm is directly introduced. Then ICSI, intracytoplasmic sperm injection. A single sperm is injected directly into the egg, used in a case of severe male infertility. And the surrogacy, the woman carries the pregnancy on behalf of the another couple. For example, like what we can say about that. So who can claim about this? The baby is actually there. So obviously the real couple, real mother and father only do the things because the sperm and the ova are from the original parents. Only the mother womb is utilized for growth of that baby or the fetus. Okay, so we have covered these things. I totally understand that. It's a very rapid revision, quick revision. I hope it's helpful to you to memorize the thing. So spermatogenesis, oogenesis are very, very important. What are the factors responsible? What are the stages of that? Meiosis 1, meiosis 2. Why there is a formation of the polar body? Then what is gift or zift? That is also important. So you can go through this. Okay. So here we have covered all the reproductive system concern related concept. Okay. So I hope you understood the things. Thank you so much for paying attention. I really like for the interaction that you did. I'm really, really thankful for that. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir. Take care.